What if I told you that everything you knew about self-help was wrong? What if all the motivational videos that you're watching is actually a complete waste of time? I confess that I used to be one of those guys that watched a lot of motivational videos from people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Casey Neistat, Tony Robbins. And ever since my secondary school days, I was actually very interested in this topic of self-discovery, self-growth, personal development. The process of improving my mindset, my psychology is really a never-ending one. And I was recently hit with a little bit of inspiration that changed my perspective in quite a big manner. And that inspiration came out of all places from a blog post. The blog talked about this idea called negative self-help from a rather famous American author, Mark Manson. You may have heard of Mark Manson through one of his rather famous books, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***.
It's going to do two things. One, it's going to be the most offensive and vulgar thing anybody's ever read. And two, it's going to give the best life advice that anybody's ever read. And I'm going to do it at the same time, and I want to create this mixture of emotion.
I have some friends that like his books while others don't like his writing style because it's very repetitive. I myself have read a couple of his books and I still do think that there's a thing or two that can be learned from him with regards to self-help, especially in the latest blog post that I discovered not too long ago. So what's negative self-help and what can it tell us about sustainable motivation? How about we start with a quote from Mark Manson's blog, The 5 Negative Tenets of Self-Help. He writes, "Whereas positive self-help believes that everyone is inherently amazing and talented and can let their shine and heal the world, negative self-help recognizes that humans are deeply flawed creatures. All of us will lie, cheat, or steal if we believe we can get away with it, and science has shown that we are all a little bit delusional in our own ways. It is a fact that we are biased towards our own desires while being deeply biased against the desires of others. In short, humans suck. We can apply this thinking to our own weaknesses, the subjects we didn't do well in school, learning how to dance, or even learning a musical instrument." Okay, learning a musical instrument is debatable. I'm a piano tutor myself and I really think that all you need is a good teacher. And yeah, if you're someone finding a piano tutor, please do send me a message. I'm finding piano students. The thing that negative self-help emphasizes on is that motivation alone is not enough. And in fact, it's only a small percentage of what we truly need to improve ourselves. We have been conditioned since young that all of us are special, that we are meant to do big things in the world. But that feeling only lasts so long. When you think about it, it's all one big cycle of going back to motivational material, hyping yourself up for a fleeting moment, and realizing that you're back in the same position as where you started. So the question is, what can we do with negative self-help to prevent us from being like a hamster in a wheel, always running but never really getting anywhere? And the resolution comes to practicing two things on a regular basis: appreciating the journey and being self-critical. Appreciating the process is what happens when you force yourself to look at your life from a macro perspective and to be appreciative of the journey that you're going through. Appreciating the process isn't about celebrating only the happy days when you make some progress in your work, but also looking at the stressful times when everything isn't going how you wanted as planned. When you take a moment each day to appreciate the process, the perspective in which you approach your everyday tasks changes, and you are no longer dependent on that fleeting moment of motivation from Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk videos. Another way of practicing negative self-help is by adding a healthy dose of self-criticism, and as Mark Manson would say, humans suck. Try to suck less. Recognize that every single one of us have our own weaknesses, and while my life experience is mostly limited, having the opportunity to have met individuals that are 1 million times more successful than me has taught me that they have their own weaknesses too. The only difference between them and I is their ability to work around them. Here is how I practice negative self-help, and perhaps something you can do to practice it as well. When I fell into the self-help hamster wheel, a friend of mine told me to let it go. He said I was too attached to the outcomes of whatever I worked on, whether if it was social media vanity metrics, money that I got from a freelance gig, or praise from others. I was always dependent on them. And by letting it go, he meant letting go of the good things and bad things that happened. If I got a praise from a client, I let it go. If I saw mean, hurtful comments on social media, I let it go. By letting it go, I detach myself from any outcomes of my actions, and it forces me to be in the moment, be appreciative of the present moment that I'm going through. After that, I add a healthy dose of skepticism onto the work that I'm doing and see what I could do to improve it. Speaking for myself, I don't really know if it's the best way to go about practicing negative self-help. I think it's really finding something that works for yourself, as the topic of self-help is mostly a personal thing that is unique to every single person out there. While this idea may not be new to you, I think it's definitely something worth raising awareness on. And if you're like me, I think it's a concept worth repeating over and over again until it gets into you and absorbed into you. Definitely go check out the original blog post from Mark Manson. If there's one thing to take away from watching this video, is to constantly remind yourself to appreciate the process and accept who you are just as you are. Thanks so much for watching.